Welcome back, Ink Drinkers. Thanks for joining us on this journey. We have capped off our Six of Crows book club and are getting ready to dive in to the very next book in this duology, Crooked Kingdom. Our episode today is going to cover the first two parts of the book, chapters 1 through 10, and we're going to dive right in.
And we start with a character, much like in the first book, that at first you might not realize that you know him, but as the chapter progresses, you realize that he's one of the Grisha that was in Hode's house from the first chapter of the first book. He says maybe one line in that chapter, but he alludes to it throughout. And I thought that was like a really cool callback.
Yeah,
to the
it's
first
a nice,
book.
like, sneaky slide in.
And then we find out as the chapter goes on that Grisha are disappearing in Ketterdam, and we kind of know from the first one that the Grisha in Ketterdam have they're kind of close knit, they talk to one another. So you kind of wonder what's going on there.
Yeah.
This has to be related to Parem, but who is taking them? And we see Retvenko going to the boats. He's a squaller. Yeah. So he's being paid to help ships make their way to their destination.
Yeah.
And so he's showing up at the harbor for his next job. And he's a little drunk.
Just a little. Just a couple of shots of whiskey.
So he makes his way to go get a cup of coffee, and then all of a sudden, the building
explodes.
Just top blows off. And this person with wings, big mechanical wings, comes to take him away.
Yes. Now, Leigh Bardugo does a great job of, in one quick chapter, setting you up okay, where are we going with this? Because she did the same thing in Six of Crows. You got to see in Six of Crows how Jurda had been taken and manipulated and what was going to drive the entire story. Well, here, it's not quite as obvious exactly why, but here we're seeing a Grisha being kidnapped. And we're like, okay, what's going on with this one? This is definitely going to be the driving force for the rest of the book.
It's a huge mystery, and it has seemingly nothing to do with our band of heroes here. We have because remember, the deal at the end of Six of Crows, the deal went bad. Van Eck betrayed them.
Yeah.
He did not give them their money. He kidnaps Inej because he realizes that she is very important to Kaz. And they go to Pekka Rollins for money.
Yes.
To be able to get their revenge against Van Eck. Nina had taken Parem, and so she's in withdrawal, and we're not sure how that's gonna go. She might recover, she might not recover. And we also have Wylan being tailored it seems permanently to look exactly like Kuwei.
Yes.
So that's where we left them last.
Oh, and don't forget, Jesper's kind of in the outs with Kaz. Because Kaz, sees his slip of tongue as a major betrayal to the rest of the group.
Because that slip is what led to the ambush at the harbor and where Inej got stabbed and almost died. So we actually start in the chapters with our main cast with a perspective we've never had before, which is Wylan's perspective.
Yes.
I don't know about you, but I was really excited to be able to get in his head because he wasn't one that we had in the first book, if I remember correctly. We had pretty much everybody else but him. We even had a Pekka chapter.
Yes.
And so we start off in Wylan's perspective.
And this one kind of threw me because, I did have to remember, he was in Kuwei's, he's tailored physically to look like Kuwei. So, when they're sitting in this club, and they're on a job already, it took me a minute because, like, it's Wyland's voice, but you have to also, like, put yourself in the fact that, like, he looks like a shoe.
Mm-hmm. And that's something I wrote down, not knowing what. Oh, never mind. Sorry, but I did write that down later. That like how jarring it must be to have seen yourself a certain way, and then not only to look differently, but then have people have different reactions to you because they think that you're a foreigner. They perceive you differently than you were. You're now experiencing different, like, race politics, because that's really what it is. Like, people look at him, can you even speak the language, you know, or they assume that he's there to hurt them or something like that. And that just, like, that has to be just so, I don't know that I would be able to get used to that.
No, I don't think so either.
The thing I wrote down that I thought I didn't read correctly was not knowing what to do with your hands is so real. Like, he's standing by the side because he is pretending to be a servant in this private gambling room for this game, and he's like, I don't know what to do with my hands, and I'm like, that is something I can relate to.
And he goes through it so well too. He's like, okay, if I put him in front, it's too formal, but on my sides it feels awkward. But if I put him behind my back, like he like, and I was like, yes, I feel that to my core.
It's just so funny and relatable, and I like that she opens it that way, especially for the first view into Wyland's mind, because that's kind of how you expect him to be after the first book. But yeah, I did put the implications of looking shoe must be super jarring. And then we see Nina working, and the last time we saw her, she was not looking good.
Nope.
She was green. She was not doing well when she attends the meeting with Pekka. And so for her to be seated with this player, Cornelius Smeet, she's seated on his lap and, like, working him. And I'm like, is she recovered? Like, is she back to normal? It's not clear at this point, but she's good enough to be on this job.
And you can definitely tell that Cornelius Smeet is their mark. It definitely gets divulged as, like, the chapter goes on. And everything, that they are trying to, you know, cozy up to him, be able to get him on the good side and everything, keep him busy while they can get other, what's the word I'm looking for?
Pieces into play.
Yeah, other pieces into play. And I think the thing that gets me the most during this is that, like, you can see Kaz's ruthlessness in this situation. Like, we knew Kaz in a very different light in Six of Crows, and you can see, I don't know necessarily like the full-on dirty hands, but I'm definitely seeing a different side of him in this, because he's much more ruthless. Like, he wants an edge back regardless of what he's saying. And so, like, he's given Jesper the money to be able to keep this guy at the tables, because he's dealing, Kaz is dealing. And Jesper runs out of money. Jesper runs out of money, and he puts up his guns. Like, his most prized possession.
Which I wasn't sure if that was, like, part of the plan or not, because Kaz says we need to keep him at the table, and we need him to stay after I leave. Because obviously if Kaz is dealing, he's controlling the game, and Jesper is losing. So that's one way to hook somebody, is to make sure that they're winning and the other person is losing. But then Kaz gets up, Smeet's like, well, maybe it's time for me to leave, and Jesper, because they had talked about his guns, is like, I'm gonna put these up. And I thought maybe Kaz told him to do that. It was very unclear. And so, like, I was nervous. But we see Kaz and Wyland leave. They leave and go to this man's house. Because he is Wyland's father's attorney.
Yes, and property manager.
And so they are trying to find something in his records.
Mm-hmm.
And Kaz goes into the house and there's dogs.
Yeah.
And dogs aren't something you can, like, really work around, especially if they're security dogs.
Yeah.
And he finds out about them, and thankfully I was worried, but he has this whistle that he got off of Van Eck that he knows the commands to. I was happy he did that instead of hurt them, because I would have lost it.
Yeah, well, and here we are. This is why Nina is cozying up to him, because Nina was able to slip it off of him and then slip it to Wyland, and Wyland was able to then slip it to Kaz on their way out. Like, it's this whole, I mean, he's, again, the methodical thinking that Kaz has just is unreal. Absolutely unreal.
Yeah. And so they make it past the dogs. Everybody else is asleep. This is late at night. And they make it into his office. And I wasn't really thinking too hard about it. And then Kaz started looking through the documents and saying things to Wyland. And I was like, oh yeah, Wyland can't read. And so he's like, I just wish I could read, because then we could go so much faster. And I just felt so bad.
I did too.
Like, that hurt my heart for him, because all he wants to do is help, and this is the one area he can't, and I'm like, we need some kind of intervention strategies or something.
Seriously.
I'm sure they've tried, but there has to be something.
There has to be something. Yeah, so it looks like they're looking for, like, different locations, and off the books, like, kind of hidden locations. So they're looking underneath Wyland's name, they're looking underneath his new wife's name, they're looking underneath Wyland's dead mom's maiden name, to be able to find anything that would be a more secure location to be keeping things, an edge, other things, just any intel that they can find. And it kind of just, like, you know, Wyland, like you just said, like, he can't read, he can't grasp what it is that's right in front of him. And so, like, Kaz, like, kind of, like, pauses, and that's where you, like, Wyland's like, you found her? He's like, yep, sure did.
Well, also, he asks, Wyland specifically asks, is there anything under my name? And Van Eck just cannot let it go, because he puts a printing press under Wyland's name. And it's like, just let it go, bro. Like, this is terrible. You're taking it too far. This is too much. You're a sad sack of shit.
Yes.
But he does give his mom's maiden name, and after that, Kaz stops.
Yep.
So we can assume that whatever he's found, it is under Wyland's mother's maiden name,
Hendricks. And
Kaz also asks, is your dad the charitable type? And he's like, no. Why would you, And he's like, well, he's been giving money to this Church of St. Hilda, for years now. And so we kind of think something is involved there. But he doesn't. They have to get out of this house before Smeek comes home. Because obviously they have a limited time. Did Jasper lure him in? Was Nina able to keep him in the seat? You know, how are they... how much time do they have?
Yeah. Well, and if you remember everything about Kaz, he works by the bells. Like, he's got it down to a system, so he's on time crunch anyway.
And they go out in the hall, and the daughter is awake. And I was like, oh shit, oh no, because we know how Kaz is.
Especially right now.
And he goes out there and scares the bejeebus out of her. He basically says that he's the monster that lives under her bed, and if she doesn't get back in bed and never say anything, that he will kill everyone in her family, everyone that she loves, and basically make her watch. Like, and then they leave the house, and Wyland's disgusted by that. He's like, did you have to do that? And basically Kaz is like, I didn't hurt her.
Yeah. You should feel lucky that I didn't do anything worse.
Well, and then we learn how he got the dog commands.
Yeah.
So he took one of Van Eck's clerks and basically tortured him.
Yes.
But not just for the commands. The clerk is trying to get out of it, and he's, trying to give him anything, and he says that he has dirt on this working girl. And that, because of Inej, really impacts Kaz. And he's like, she'll do anything. I know these things about her. Like, she'll do anything for you. And he was not having it. I think there was a specific, I have the page number down, so I think there was a specific quote of what the guy said. She'll do anything you want, everything. It's terrible, isn't it? Knowing, and then slowly Kaz began to let the man's legs slide through his grip. It's terrible, isn't it? Knowing someone holds your life in his hands, which is basically what the guy was doing to this girl. And then he lets him fall. Like, you should not be taking advantage of vulnerable people. Kaz is very touchy about that because of what happened to him and Jordy. And so he was just like, you know, and I freed that girl. Now she'll never see this guy again, you know. And that, like, you can just tell he is in a darker place than he was in the first book.
He definitely is. So they're able to make their way out, and as planned, he like ruffles up his hair so that he can't be like as recognizable and everything too. But he runs into Smeet in order to return the whistle because, you know, Smeet has to be able to get back into the house and call off his dogs, and he's got to be able to have the whistle that was around, you know, the necklace and everything. Kaz doesn't put it all the way back on the necklace though. He just like shoves it into his shirt, which Matthias had problems with, but he was like, it doesn't matter. He's drunk. It's been whatever. Like, he's not going to think two ways about it. And then that's where we see them make their way back to the Black Veil where they've been staying in hiding. And I wrote down this kind of long quote-ish about it because Leigh Bardugo does, I feel, a really great job of like when she describes places to like give you that setup. And so the description of Black Veil was an eerie place, a miniature city of white marble mausoleums, many carved into the shape of ships, their stone figureheads weeping as they cut across an invisible sea. Some bore the stamps of Gazen's coins of favor, others the 3 flying fishes of the Kirch that Nina said indicated a member of the family that had served the government. A few were watched over by the Ravkan saints in flowing marble robes. There was no sign of Gel or his ash trees. Fjerdans would not want to be interred above the earth where they could not take root. So it kind of just shows you, like, we're in this graveyard, we're in this secluded island, it's eerie, it's dark, and it's showing the representation of all the different types of people that are there as well. And I just thought it was like so well put. It just caught me. Like, I was like, oh, okay, I can picture everything from this part.
Not only does she like describe the physical things that are there, but she like gives you the vibe of it in her descriptions. And so you get not just like, oh, there's graves, you know, like the way she describes them makes it eerie. And one thing I feel like that is very prominent in this book is, because we're in Ketterdam the whole time, is water. Waterways. They always are on boats going through a canal, talking about a canal. And I think it's interesting, one of the things when they're walking back to the canal to the boat to get to Black Veil, Matthias starts talking about something and Kaz tells him to be quiet because words like to ride the water. And so I think it's just really interesting how all of that imagery she puts together, even with like keeping things like that with the water theme, or like the abundance of it, or the prevalence of it. She just does it so beautifully. But when they get back, Nina and Jesper are arguing because lo and behold, Jesper lost his guns. And Smeet didn't take them home.
No.
He asked them to put it in a safe at the gambling den. And so he can't even get to them to try to like steal them back. And Nina's like, you didn't have to put those up. Like, it's not my fault they're gone. It's not my fault he put them in the safe. Like,
Yeah.
You shouldn't have put them up then. But we also see that Nina isn't doing as well as we thought.
No.
And this chapter is in Matthias's perspective, and we can see that he is concerned.
Yes.
That she's described as having a greenish tint to her skin, and so she's still sick, but she's pushing herself.
Yeah. To work. For sure. We also get some insight on tiny bits of a plan that Kaz is working on, because we know Wyland's working on some sort of chemical weevil, and that he's needing Kuei's help. We hear about Shu warships being in the harbor, and that the embassies are full. The Zemini are there, the Kalish, the Ravkan, the Fjordan, everybody is there. They've found out about the Parem, and the Fjordans are upset about Kuei's liberation. And they say liberation. And so, like, you can feel the tension kind of rising within Ketterdam as well, even though we're with our ragtag crew wanting to get Inej back and the revenge on Van Eck himself. The stakes are a little bit higher with just this tiny bit of information here, because there are a lot more parties getting involved. And like, my worry is that with all these parties getting involved, like, more information about this Parem is going to get out, and it's like, okay, did the Shu still have some of the Parem? Did the Fjordan still have some of the Parem? Like, do we have other Grishas that are going to be coming about using it? Like, just all those thoughts, like, coming through as we're,
And it shows how much the, like, socio-political world plays into this. Like, we are focused on them and our little found family here, but actually all of their actions have ripples into the wider world of the Grishaverse. And so seeing all of these people and how this is, like, affecting everyone is interesting.
Yeah.
Because, usually in heist books you see a very limited like, scope of who it's going to affect.
Yeah.
Usually the people that are stealing and the person that's being stolen from. But, like, this, it has a much wider context.
Yeah. Well, and then my question, too, in this moment, and maybe I just, like, missed it, I'm forgetting it, is, like, how did all of these entities realize that, like, Ketterdam was the place to, like, convene? Like, Venek squandered something out. We've got an inside leak. Is it because the Fjordans, knew? And so the Fjordans came first? Like, I feel like that, I may have missed it, or that piece is kind of left out a little bit.
I don't know that they explain it. I know at a certain point they talk about how Ketterdam is, like, a neutral territory. And so it might have just been a safe place, or word could have gotten out that this is where the bounty came from. But I think there was probably bounties from everyone. And we know the Shu knew.
Yes.
Because they were also present at the ice court. So it could just be that word spread from there. I don't think it is explained in any way.
Okay.
At least not that I remember. Feel free to comment and let us know if we missed it. Because I know I definitely could have missed things. But it is very interesting how they've all come together and filled all of these embassies. But we're also talking about, like Kaz keeps saying it's about the money. It's about the money. We need to get the money. And even Matthias is like, no. He literally says the Wraith's life is worth more than that to all of us. Like, he's known her for a hot second, and she has earned that type of respect from him.
Yeah.
And we all know Kaz's main motivation is actually getting Inej back, but he will never admit that to anyone, not even himself.
No.
Let's be honest. And, like, we see them kind of scheming and figuring some things out. I have another quote here from Matthias, and at one point Jesper's flirting, and another point Nina's flirting, and Matthias thinks to himself, He sometimes suspected they could forego all Kaz's planning and simply let Jesper and Nina flirt the entirety of Ketterdam into submission. I giggled because we know how prudish and straight-laced he is, and then he's like, these two could take the whole city down if we just, like, let them have free reign.
Yes.
But they start talking about a plan and, like, committing more crimes. And I think it's really interesting because both Matthias and Wylan are reluctant to commit more crimes.
Yes.
But they'll do it for Inej.
Yes, they will. Yeah.
And you can see the uncomfortableness, or at least Matthias notices that Wylan is also uncomfortable. And he's like, well, at least there's somebody else here that's kind of sane.
Yeah. And then is it Spectre Roddy that comes to the island here and gives them the news? Because...
It might be both of them. I don't know.
It could be both of them. I can't remember. It's one or both of them. Because Muzzin's... They come and deliver the news that Muzzin's dead. So really, everybody thinks Matthias is dead. Yeah. Because remember, Muzzin was tailored to look like Matthias with fire pox left at Hellgate, and has now died, was killed. Not just died, was killed. Yes. So the Fjerdans probably sanctioned some sort of hit on him. And that Jesper's father is in town looking for him.
Yeah, that's like the last line of the chapter, and you're like, what the hell? We also, like, they start talking about what's going to happen with Kue.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, is he going to go, Nina's like, maybe he should go to Ravka, and basically everybody has their own argument. Yeah. And you can kind of see all sides of them. Like, you can see why Matthias doesn't want him to go to Ravka, because they were, Fjerdans and Ravkans are enemies, and you can see why he wants to go to Ravka so that he can be safe and
learn how to use his powers.
And then Cass sending him to the southern colonies until things cool down. Like, you can see all of the arguments, but nobody has a right answer. And the other thing that the team is notified by Spectre Roddy, whoever it is what happened in the harbor. Oh. And that what happened to Red Vanko. And Nina knows who Red Vanko is. She says his name, Emil Red Vanko, and they're like, you know him? And she's like, I know of him. So then we do get, like, that it's a close network. So they know that there's these crazies, a man with wings, that have kidnapped this particular Grisha. But they don't know why, and they're not really, like, too concerned about it, because then we find out that Jesper's dad is here, and he's like, what?
Yeah, I feel like it's not even just described, but, like, you read that sentence, and I can feel my face go white for Jesper. Like, all of the, like, everything just drains out of him, like, okay, now I'm really in. Okay, I'm in for it.
Well, and there's a little piece of you that's like, is it really his dad?
Yes. That too. Because
like, is this a trap? We know who we're dealing with, right? We have Pekka, we have Van Eck. Are they trying to lure them out? Because Jesper's father is the only family that he has left. And so by just saying that, like, could they lure him out and be like, oh, that's not really my dad? We don't hear anything about cameras in this world, and so it's not like they could bring a picture of him. Right. So, I am nervous for that boy, because we all know what he did with his dad's farm. Yeah. But we get to see Inej and where she is and how she's doing. Thank God this was somewhat... I wish it was quicker.
Yes, but thankfully we're not, like, 20 chapters in and finally seeing her. Yeah. So we see her in captivity, and it starts out right away, like, she's starving herself. Like, that's literally, like, within the first 2 sentences, because she is trying to fit into a vent because she's planning her escape. And I'm like, of course Inej is planning her escape. Like, she's not going to just sit around and wait for the rest of the crew to come and get her. She's going to try before that. I mean, is she hopeful that they're going to come get her? Yes, of course. But, she's got to be trying herself. But we also get to see some of her time in captivity, where Bajan,
yeah,
I think that's how you say his name. I'm trying to remember how to pronounce it again. But he's indentured to Van Eck, and he keeps on like justifying Van Eck to her, like, oh, he's really not that bad. Like, he treats you well if you do this and all these things. And I found it interesting because he's the music tutor for Van Eck's wife, Alice, but then he's the person that's like trying to get answers out of Inej. So like Van Eck's up to something. Like,
it's because he's Sully.
Yes.
And he thinks that if he sends in somebody that is also Sully, that she will maybe have an easier time. I mean, it is a well thought out thing.
Yeah.
But he's a music teacher.
Yeah.
He's not there to he's not equipped to figure out anything from her.
No.
And we do see her talk about, and I want to bring up this particular quote from her father, because it becomes like a big theme in the rest of the book. And one thing, or the thing she remembers him saying is, "We meet fear, we greet the unexpected visitor, and listen to what he has to tell us. When fear arrives, something is about to happen." And this like very much carries throughout the book. We hear about it over and over.
Yeah.
And so she's using that in all of the situations in captivity, thinking to herself, okay, fear's here, what do I do? Like, what is about to happen? What can I glean from that?
Yeah, because her first, it's like days and everything are just like, well, where are the safe houses? Where's this? What's this? What are they doing? Like, it's just questioning and everything. And then when that quote comes up, it's because Bajan's demeanor has changed. He's wringing his hands, like he's more nervous, he's sweating and everything, and because of his fear, she's reflecting on that and everything.
I also think it's interesting too, because he sends in this Sully, but then she starts to speak Sully to him and almost uses it to wound him.
Yes.
Because after she speaks to him, he's like, let's not do that. I don't want to be like melancholic or something like that. Yeah. And so it's obviously like a problem, like not a good memory for him or like nostalgic. So it's like, how is he even going to build that connection anyway?
Right. Yeah.
But she's sitting there and thinking about the team. And I wrote down something she says. She thought of Jesper toying with his guns, Nina squeezing the life from a man with the flick of a wrist, Kaz picking a lock in his black gloves, thugs, thieves, murderers, and all worth more than 1,000 Jan Van Eyck's. So, like, she's in captivity, and she's thinking about her, like, crew and how they are better people, even though they are criminals.
Yes. Yeah.
And there's something further. Like, she's wondering about whether they're coming or not, whether Kaz will come or not.
Yeah, she does. She says, "Where are they? Where is Kaz?" She is definitely, as time goes on, like, they were given a week and everything, but definitely you can see that some of her doubts are setting in. Some of those old ones, like, am I just another piece? Or do I actually matter the way that they matter to me?
And so she's like sitting there thinking through his plan. And she says, Kaz's course was obvious. Ransom Kuwei, take the money, find himself a new spider to scale the walls of the barrel, and steal secrets for him. And hadn't she told him she planned on leaving Ketterdam as soon as they were paid? Stay with me. Had he meant it? What value did her life carry in the face of the reward Kuwei might garner? Nina would never let Kaz abandon her. So her faith is in Nina. And that, like, makes me tear up anyway. But Nina would never let Kaz abandon her. She'd fight with everything she had to free Inej, even if she was still in the grips of Perem. Matthias would stand by her with that great heart full of honor, and Jesper Well, Jesper would never do Inej harm, but he needed money badly if he didn't want his father to lose his livelihood. He would do his best, but that might not necessarily mean what was best for her. Besides, without Kaz, were any of them a match for Van Eck's ruthlessness and resources? I am, Inej told herself. I may not have Kaz's devious mind, but I'm a dangerous girl. And I wanted to point that out because she doesn't think Kaz will come for her, but she knows Nina will.
Yeah.
And their friendship was one of my favorite parts of book one. And you can tell that it wasn't just like us reading into it at all. Like, she knows Nina will come for her.
Yes.
And so she knows that there has to be something going on.
Yeah.
But she's also not going to wait around and wait for it to happen.
Yeah. So, you know, she's starving herself, and Bajan's trying to get her to eat, and he's also getting more fearful. And, you know, she's the Wraith. The Wraith doesn't fall. She doesn't trip. She doesn't... It's just, it's not in her repertoire. She just doesn't do it. But she does. But that's because it's all part of her plan. She ends up breaking a bowl so that she can, when he brings, you know, cleans it up, brings fresh food. She's got a piece of the bowl to be able to then get her ties off so that she can start crawling through the shaft. And so when she gets through the shaft, you know, I think she's hoping the whole time, like, this is going to be her escape route, this, that, and the other. But she ends up in a theater.
Yeah, she crawls through and she makes it out of the shaft, but falls right into seats.
Yes.
In a theater.
And she realizes that she is on the set of The Madman and the Doctor. And unfortunately, you know, fear was there, and her escape was expected because Van Eck is there. There are guards there, and they're ready to torture her in order to get locations for the safe house locations. And Van Eck tells her, because we know this information because we were just with the rest of the crew, but Inej is not there, so she doesn't have this outside information. And he's just kind of like spewing stuff, like there's rumors, the rumors of the Purim have spread. The 2 warships are out in Third Harbor. The Fjord and Druskella have arrived. Everybody's looking for Kuwait. Like, yeah, I gave Kazbrecker 7 days, but I don't really have this time, so like,
let's move.
And so he is ready to torture her, and Bajan is pleading with her, like, just please tell him whatever he wants to know. And this is the part that really got me. I was like, Inej, get him with your words. She says to Bajan, you're the man who sits idly by, congratulating yourself on your decency, while the monster eats his fill. At least a monster has teeth and a spine.
Because Bajan says he's not a monster.
No.
And I wrote that exact quote down too, because he just because you're not doing the thing, you're allowing the thing and you're enabling it. And so it is very hard for her to like even care about him at all, or like, what kind of leverage do you think you have over me? You don't even have a spine. And I feel like that's so powerful. And I think Van Eck should have thought about that when he made the choice of who to send in to talk to her. Because if she works with Kaz Brecker all day and you send in somebody that's just wishy-washy, that's not going to do anything.
No, it's not. And so she prepares herself for the torture and is just like completely at ease until he says, break her legs.
With a mallet. So that they can't be reset.
Shatter to bone. And then the part that really broke me was, you know, that gets her, right? Like, her legs are her everything when it comes to this. And she shouts at him because part of her believes it. Speaking about Kaz, he'll never trade if you break me.
Because I won't be worth anything to him. That was a mantra all throughout book 1, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is Kaz only thinks of me as an asset. I'm just a tool. And Kaz reinforces that.
Yeah.
It's not just her making up things in her head.
Mm-mm.
He very much says that to her and like alludes to that being her purpose.
Yeah.
We both know that's not true,
No.
but it's, to her, it is.
It's a doubt in her mind. Like, she's got both sides of it because she wants the other part to be true. She wants her feelings to be reciprocated, and she thinks that they are, but she doesn't have enough, like, actual physical evidence for it. And so, like, her doubts oftentimes are outweighing that. And this is one of those moments where I feel like it rose more to the surface. And you also have fear compiling on top of that.
Well, and I feel like it's the default mode of thought.
Yes.
Is I'm a tool first, and then maybe there might be a little inkling of something somewhere.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, she says, I won't be worth anything. He won't come for me if you break my legs, because I won't be worth anything, basically.
Yeah.
And that stops him.
Mm-hmm.
But he's like, it's okay because your dregs are coming here to get you tonight.
Yeah,
or something like that.
Or no. He says, he pauses and sends her back, and he goes, I'll give you a night to think on it. I might not be as lenient tomorrow, or as forgiving tomorrow, patient tomorrow, or something like that. Is easy, like, so basically, we'll meet again, and you might not be as lucky next time.
And she says to Bajan, because Bajan takes her back, you are forsaken, which is where the chapter or the part title comes from. It's part 1, forsaken. You are forsaken. As you have turned your back on me, so will they turn their backs on you, which is basically a Suli curse.
Yeah.
Like, they're very tied into their families and ancestors. And if you turn your back on a Suli, then your ancestors will also turn their backs on you. And at the end of the chapter, she kind of, I feel like in the first book, we know she worked at the menagerie. She was indentured there, but she doesn't really talk about anything that happened other than being afraid. And here's where we get the first inkling, where she says, men had come, but not to set her free, and eventually her hope had withered like leaves beneath a too bright sun, replaced by a bitter bud of resignation. So obviously things happened to her while she was at the menagerie. And I think we'll probably get more insights into that if she's bringing it up this early. But at the very end, he said, tomorrow night I may not be so merciful. Had tonight been an exercise meant to frighten her, or would Van Eck return to carry out his threats? And if Kaz did come, how much of her would be left? And that really, like, how much of her would be left? Oh,
yeah. So that ends part 1. So that gave a lot of setup and timeline right from the end of Six of Crows.
Yes.
We know that not a full week has gone by yet, because Cass has not gotten to the deadline of, you want Inej back, you've got 7 days to do the trade for Kuwait. And we've got this set up of disappearing Grisha, that we're seeing. We've seen one, for sure be kidnapped. We've been mentioned of others. And then the tensions rising in Ketterdam with all of the world, coming into this, like, centerpiece to figure out this Parem and Kuwait and everything. So, like, and now we've also got our ragtag team trying to figure out a way to get Inej back. So, like, we've got our own little tensions and then compiled tensions on top of it. And Kaz is unhinged. Like, I wrote that down in here. Like, he's more ruthless than the first book, which doesn't seem to bode well for the crew in general, because it just seems like, he's already lost his trust with Jesper. He doesn't really seem to mind that he's giving up, his guns and things like that. Anything for
he almost thinks
Inej.
he deserves it.
Yeah. So, a lot going on in a very short time of this book.
Yeah, it's like this, like you said, was a whole like resetting, reframing, kind of just setting the stage from previous to now what's going on. And another thing I didn't bring up and I meant to was that we're talking about Kuei and Kuei's future and how he doesn't have a lot of control because they're all like tugging, but he also wants to try to make an antidote, which also I feel like is important because they talk about the consequences of Parem and knowing that it's possible. Wyland's like, somebody will try to copy it. And so if they could make an antidote, that would be beneficial.
For sure.
That was another thing that was in part 1.
Yeah.
But that brings us to part 2, A Killing Wind.
Yes.
And one thing I love about these books is that usually the part like names come from something. Yeah. So I'm always like on high alert to figure out where they came from. Sometimes it's from something that's already happened, but sometimes it's not until you read the chapter. Like with Forsaken part 1, Inej says that in chapter 4.
Yeah.
So we start off with Jesper
going to meet his dad.
And
or is it a trap?
It could be either one at this point, if I'm being honest. But my first thought is, what is he gonna say to his dad? And we all know how like hyper he is, and it's so cute. He's trying to look respectable.
Yeah, he went and got like a not too fancy of an outfit, but a little bit better of an outfit because, you know, his dad thinks he's still a student.
Yeah. And he's walking and worrying, and Wyland is with him. And one thing, we talked about the imagery with Black Veil, and I loved the imagery and the distinction that was made in the imagery when they go to the university.
Yes.
How everything's bright, and Jesper says it smells clean, and it smells like flowers, and there's coffee shops, and it's so much different than the barrel, and she does that so well in her description.
Yes. I wrote down kind of like she didn't do like heavy on the description, but the area that they're meeting at the university, Bookspleen. There we go. It's 4 different libraries built around a central courtyard that has the scholars fountain in the middle. And just thinking, already we know it's like this clean, fresh, wonderful smelling area. Like I can imagine like a cobblestone courtyard with this like beautiful, you know, garden around it, the big fountain, and then not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 libraries. It's like
our dream.
Like, okay. And it just happened to be Jesper's favorite part of the university. I was like, I knew I loved this boy.
He's like looking around because there's so much to look at, and he has such a wandering mind. To me, I feel like it's very obvious that Jesper is neurodivergent, and so like he couldn't just like sit there and read something. He needed other things to look at. Yeah. One thing, so he makes it there, and one thing that broke my heart is like he's thinking, and he thinks to himself, he sometimes wondered what might have happened if he had never gone out with his new friends that night. If he'd never walked into that gambling parlor and taken that first spin at Mocker's wheel. It was meant to be harmless fun, and for everyone else it had been, but Jesper's life had split into 2 distinct and uneven pieces. The time before he stepped up to the wheel, and every day since. And he turns to Wyland and says, the barrel eats people. Yeah. And, like, I wonder that too. Like, if he had stayed with his studies and was not tempted. Yeah. But it's just that way sometimes. Yeah. Especially, you know, with addiction, you know, people can get hooked after one experience. And so I just felt so bad because like he's very aware of it. And that just hurt. Yeah.
The reunion with his dad, though. I know. It's like yeah. And he was like, you can see him like fumbling over his words, like he wants to tell him, but he can't tell him because his dad's so worried. He's like, they said you're not a student here anymore.
I thought you were dead.
I
He
thought you were
literally
dead. I
says
couldn't
that.
find you. And then Wyland comes in and tells him this grand story and lies and covers for him.
Well, no, that's a little bit later.
Is
Wyland's like, hey, let's take you to
Oh,
lunch. Let's
that's
do
right.
lunch.
Sorry,
And
I got ahead of myself.
I think it's still the same chapter.
It
But
probably is.
I thought the interesting thing was, one, Jesper's dad is Kalish. They talk
Yes.
about that. His name
Yes,
is
yes,
Colm Fahey. He lives in Novia Zem, but he is Kalish. And when they reunite and they speak to each other, they speak Zemini. And they switch to Kirch to include Kue. And his dad's first reaction to Kue is like, can you speak
Yeah.
Kirch? And he was like, Dad. Jesper's like, Dad, no, of course he can.
Yeah.
But he reveals that the loan is coming due. What's going on? The loan is
Yeah.
coming due. I don't know what's happening. I thought you said this was temporary.
Mhm.
And then people start shooting at them.
Ambushed.
And so, one, the dad is freaked out. Two, Jesper like snaps and starts as like, you need to go here, you need to do that. And so at the end, we're like, who's shooting at them? Wyland's like, I have a way out.
Before we get to the way out, though, there are a couple. I didn't write them down, but like I wrote down here his dad's like innocent comments or whatever. As he goes, almost like kind of comic relief.
Oh, yeah.
Like, is this how people get along here? Kind of things, like these tiny little things. I was like, oh my gosh, like it just shows the difference in the world that his dad lives in still, where Jesper grew up, and to the life that Jesper now lives. And so that just kind of like caught me or whatever. And then yes, Wyland knew a secret exit, so he starts taking them like through or whatever. And as they're running, Jesper makes contact. He's like, Madeline?
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, there's an old girlfriend. Okay.
If I live, I'll buy you waffles.
Yeah, I'll buy you waffles. And I'm like, waffles are like a hot commodity,
thing.
apparently.
And Wyland goes, you don't have enough money for waffles. It's like, be quiet, we're in a library. Like, that's so funny. And so they go through this rare books room.
Yes.
And I thought this was cool because it was like using Grisha powers
Yeah.
for like, so they go through there and there's a squalor in there. And he sees Wyland and is like, shoo, no, I'm not going with you. And he's like, I'm not trying to take you, my dude. And they leave, and Jesper was like, why would there be a squalor in the rare books room? And Wyland's like, the humidity. He keeps the humidity down to preserve the books. And I thought that was such a cool idea. That they put, that she like threw that tidbit in there. And in a way for them to have like a job that's not war.
Yeah,
you know?
and he also said something about like, it's like he's lucky he got that job because like it's like a highly sought after position as well. So it's like, that's kind of cool too.
Yeah, I really loved that. But yeah, they go through this like rare books room.
Yeah, there's he presses on the capital on the map, and it opens like a trap door or whatever. And I liked this because Jesper asked him like, well, how did you know about that?
Yeah,
or
and
whatever.
why would you be in a rare books room?
Yeah,
It's like,
you
no
can't read.
offense, my dude, but...
Yeah. And so he tells of a story of one of his old tutors. He loved listening to his tutor tell stories. And they would go to the rare books room. He also loved maps. And that this tutor would tell him stories and allow him to trace the words. And tracing words helped him be able to, like, understand. And so, like, we're getting this tiny little insight into somebody that would have probably been willing to have spent the time to help Wyland figure out and get through a little bit more of, perseverance wise with this disability that he has in order to, overcome.
And you're wondering what happened, that.
Yeah.
But of course, we don't stay with them.
No, we don't.
Switch, and we are finally in Nina's perspective.
Yes.
This is her first chapter of the book, and let's be honest, she's probably my favorite. So I am so excited to be back in her perspective and to find out how she's actually doing.
Yeah.
Because we see her working, we see Matthias, who's always going to be concerned about her, so that probably colors his perspective. But how is she doing?
Yeah.
And they bring Colm, who is Jesper's dad, that's his name, back to the island, and Nina is just like shocked by how stereotypically Kalish he is. He has red hair, he's got like light skin and lots of freckles from being out in the sun, and she's just like, like not just amazed, because remember, one, that's where she was taken from. Two, she has pretended to be Kalish on several like occasions, so like she knows a lot about the culture. But we also see that she is definitely not okay.
No.
But very, very focused on getting Inej back, as Inej expects.
Yes. She talks about still craving the Parem and having it. We see a little bit of a tiny flashback of Matthias like helping her through the biggest part of the withdrawal. Matthias telling her stories and keeping her talking to try to get her like through those like hardest pieces and everything. And when she was getting ready to do the job that we started the book with, she went to like try to tailor away some of the color from underneath her eyes. And it actually made her feel like she couldn't really do it. It caused her a lot of pain and everything. So like there's also some sort of side effect going on here when it comes to that.
Well, and it made her craving go out of control. Yeah. When she tried to use her powers, it made her very sick, and then she just wanted Parem so bad. Yeah. And so that's why, because we see her, and they do say this, that she's wearing a wig.
Yeah.
And so at first you're like, why is she wearing a wig? Like she could have just changed her hair. And so we knew something was off, and now we get like what's going on inside her head. Yeah. And it's, I mean, we know that their love story is absolutely beautiful, but seeing him take care of her and like taking every punch she threw at him and still being there. Yeah. And she goes to him and tries to get more Parem out of him, and he's like, I don't have it. I gave it to Kaz. And she like tries to seduce him for it, and he's like, I don't have it.
Yeah, you can't.
You know,
you're not gonna win this battle here,
because he, let's be honest, he might have given it to her.
He might have. This is where the rest of the stuff comes up with Jesper's dad.
Oh, so, one more thing before we go there. Okay. So she is talking about, she's in the midst of the craving happening. Yes. And she thinks about Matthias, but the person that pulls her back to herself is Inej. And I thought that it really does show how special their bond is, because even when they are apart and in dire straits, it is their bond that is keeping them sane and keeping them going. Yeah. Nina will definitely come for me. I need to go and save Inej. And so I just think, like, I'm getting goosebumps. Like, the fact that keeps coming up over and over again. Sure, there are romances in the book, but we also see a solid, very reciprocal female friendship. And I think that is so important and so beautiful to see as well.
Agreed. Totally agreed. This is where I had jumped ahead. It's this chapter where we find out that the bank is called in the loan on the farm. They ended up using Jesper as bait, Jesper's dad as bait. And remember that the loan that Jesper has out on the farm is through the Dime Lions, through Pekka Rollins. This is where Wylan covers for him and makes up this story. He's like, well, I made this investment and blah, 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 so that Jesper doesn't have to like fess up to his dad in this moment, which is kind of cute, but also Jesper needs to own up to some of these things. Like, he has to start being truthful to people.
So yeah, I wrote something similar down, and it's well, Jesper and Colm are talking, and again, we're in Nina's perspective. Yeah. And Colm says something about people like you, And Jesper responds in a very, like, similar way. And she's like, neither of them will say Grisha. Like, neither of them will say it. And she clocks that. So I think she should be like, oh, now I know why he didn't tell me that he had powers. But yeah, I thought it was beautiful that Wylan and Nina, like, jumped in for him.
Yeah.
And they, like, spin a tale. And Kaz even gives him a piece of his backstory as, like, we were swindled. Like, they were swindled out of whatever.
Yeah.
You know, what happened to him and Jordy.
He even, like, jumped in a little bit there, too.
But Matthias is, like, looks at Nina and he's like, you shouldn't do that. She's like, he's one of us. Like, you can tell she is very, like, protective. of everyone and, like, wants them all, you know, to succeed.
Also, Kaz does have a soft spot because he got Jesper's guns back.
He did.
Or he just knows he needs them for the mission. But I want to say he has a soft spot.
He could have gotten him any type of guns. One thing I think is really interesting, too, in this chapter, we've been with this crew for what feels like a long time. We are very ingrained in their natures, how they work together, but we now see them through Mr. Fahey's eyes. And he's like, you're just kids.
Yeah.
You couldn't have lived long enough to be that bad. And, like, that's his reaction. Like, he really gives weight to how young they are.
Yeah.
And he truly sees them as innocent children. And he just, like, it helps you reorient to who they are and how young they are and all of the things they've gone through.
Yeah.
Because without that, I feel like they're adults.
Yeah. Oftentimes I do forget, like, that they're, like, 16. And Matthias is the only one that's in his 20s.
And I think he's just barely 20.
Just barely. And so it's like, without the perspective of, like, because I think Van Eck did it in the first book and kind of threw it at him. There was the talk on the ship when they were, you know, my ghost will get your ghost. Like, that whole scene.
The tank scene where they're, like, riding through the town.
We got a tank! Yeah. There are little moments like that that do remind you of that. And this is one of them. Because the rest of the time, like, I can, like, because they act in such a way, they seem mature enough, just for maybe not so much, but, you know, that you often forget about it.
You do. And not saying that's not realistic. Lots of children who are put through tough things grow up very quickly and mature very quickly. But that, just like him from the outside, he doesn't know any of them. You're just children. And he is very resistant to let Jesper go back into any more trouble. And he's like, we'll just start over. As long as I have you, I don't care. And that's when Jesper says, but she's there. And so he is very concentrated on making sure his dad doesn't lose the farm. And you assume that she is his mom. And so he's like, okay, fine.
Do what you gotta do.
I will give you 3 days. I will give you 3 days.
I give it 3 days,
And then I'm coming for you.
Yeah.
So one thing I wanted to bring up, and it's still related to Jesper's dad. This is something Nina's thinking to herself. Jasper's dad says he'll give them 3 days and then they're going home. And he says, and for Saint's sake, be careful, all of you, not just Jasper, right? Nina felt a sudden lump in her throat.
Oh, yes.
Matthias had lost his family to war. Nina had been taken from her family to train when she was just a little girl. Wylan had been as good as evicted from his father's house. Kuwei had lost his father and his country. And Kaz, she didn't want to know what dark alley Kaz had crawled out of. But Jesper had somewhere to go, someone to take care of him, somebody to say, it's going to be all right. She had a vision of golden fields beneath a cloudless sky, a clapboard house protected from the wind by a line of red oaks, someplace safe. So, like, all of them are very much without families. They have lost all of those things. And here is one of them that has something that they would probably all kill for. And she just, like, wishes she had it. Like, he should be embracing that, and she's, like, watching him kind of be like, no, I have to finish this. And I just thought that was like a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And like, I want them to all just go with him.
Same. And he'd probably take them all, let's be honest.
Oh yeah. So they go, right?
Yes. So now we're seeing them kind of split off.
So we finally are like they split up to start doing something. And we see her and Jesper together. And they're all like everybody is together at first, right? Yeah. And they're all armed to the teeth. Like everybody has some type of weapon. And I think it's interesting, like even Nina has a gun. And she says, or she thinks to herself, she had never needed a gun before, never wanted to carry one because I was the weapon, but didn't trust herself now. Her control over her power felt flimsy, like she was reaching for something that was just a bit further away than she thought. So like, how jarring is that too? Like we talked about how jarring it would be to have a different face, but like this is something that she has had her entire life. It's the only weapon she was probably truly trained with. I mean, they probably were trained a little bit with guns because she obviously doesn't seem uncomfortable, but like that was her main weapon of battle, and now it's gone. Like she can't use it or she'll get sick.
Well, and that's the thing is like she and Jesper are together and Jesper is relying on her to quietly take out these guards because if Jesper shoots, then that alerts the rest of the guards that like something's going on and everything. And so she's really, really, really struggling. Like she can't access it and she's like panicking. And we see something very unusual happen here. And it's very unclear because like she's confused. She's like, I think I used my power. And he's like, is that you? Like Jesper to her, like, was that you? Because there's this like white dust and a guard is just dead. Like it's just kind of like happens.
Yeah. She her mind reached out and suddenly had hold of something. Not a body, but something. She caught a movement out of the corner of her eye, a dim shape emerging from the shadows, a cloud of dust. It shot towards the standing guard. He swatted at it as if trying to drive away a swarm of mosquitoes, but it whirred faster and faster, a nearly invisible blur. The guard opened his mouth to scream and the cloud vanished. He let out a grunt and toppled backwards. So like she felt something and then this dust cloud appeared. And it sounds like it choked this man. So what happened? Which, if it's dust, could it have been? You know, I think she has a sound mind there because fabricators can use things from the earth. So could it have been Jesper? And he's like, it wasn't me.
It wasn't me. Nope, that was not me. I didn't do anything. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Something's going on.
And we're like, okay, so she doesn't have her normal power, but she can access something. Was that her? Wasn't that her? If it was her, what is this dust?
Yeah. And so that's kind of where, that's where the, come on, let's go get our girl, all happens. And then we get to see Inej again in the next chapter. And we had already talked, Van Eck's tactics have changed. Yes. He's in like this crunch mode or whatever, and she's been thinking overnight like, okay, I plan on talking. I'm gonna give away all of these easy safe houses that will take him like all night to search, anything to keep him from harming me. Like they've got to be coming to get me soon. And he kind of calls her out on it. Like,
yeah, she tries to pretend that she's under distress and she starts giving him things and he's like, okay, next. And he's like, you know what I think?
You're trying to waste my time.
I think you're trying to waste my time.
Yeah. And so, he's trying to be like Kaz or whatever in this moment. You can tell because he's like, it doesn't matter. Like, they're coming to get you anyway. Like, they're here.
Yeah. He raises the curtain because remember, they're in a theater and he has her on a table or at a table on the stage and he raises the curtain and it's full of guards or bruisers or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, oh, we were just using you as bait. Like, we heard they're actually coming to get you tonight.
Yeah. And so she's freaked out because it's like, you know, she trusts Kaz to be a step ahead, but is he? Like, she can't do anything to prep him or, you know, the rest of the crew, and everything. And you can just see, like, the absolute hatred that Van Eck has for Kaz. Like, it is something different than, like, the rest of the people out there or whatever. But this is where, like, methodical Kaz, like, made me want to, like, laugh in Van Eck's face or whatever, because this guy comes running in.
Yeah, like a messenger, or
like,
something.
Yeah. Excuse me, sir, I've got a note. Hello, I've got a note. Here's your note. Noon tomorrow, good Midbridge with her knives. Because...
And he's like, but wait, where did this come from? And they're like, it was at the lake house.
And that's where his pregnant wife was. Because Van Eck also let his weakness slip the way Kaz did when he looked at Inej. Because the heir to the Van Eck name is currently in the womb. Wylan does not matter to him. And now Kaz has his most precious thing.
Exactly. Because during that, like, speech to Kaz, he was basically saying, oh, this is my legacy. And when he was, like, talking bad about Wylan, I need to leave my legacy and all of that kind of stuff. And so he knew which button to push. And she breaks his nose. She headbutts him.
Yes, she does.
And breaks his nose, which I was like, get it, girl.
Yeah.
He deserves it.
Sure does.
And I loved it because her faith is also restored in the crew. And she's just like, she knows they're coming. Yep. She knows that things
her demeanor completely changes.
Things are probably going to be okay.
Yeah. And so then we get Matthias. And he's with Van Eck's wife, Alice.
Oh, poor.
I mean, the whole kind of crew is, except for Inej, right? We find out that when they were going through his office, they found the lake house underneath Wylan's mom's name, Hendricks.
It's her family home. Like, it's a family home.
Yes.
That was hers.
Yes.
That's diabolical. That he is keeping his new wife in a house that was owned by her family. That's insane.
Yes. 100%. And we find out that Nina and Jesper were actually, in that previous chapter where the dust happened, they weren't there for Inej, they were there for Alice.
The her was Alice.
Yes, the her was Alice. But we we get Alice, and she's crying and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, poor Matthias, he's like, have you not ever seen a woman that's pregnant? Like,
I love that it's Matthias. He is the stiffest, most rigid character. You would think, like, Nina would know something, or you know, I don't know, maybe, or like Jesper or somebody would know something.
I'd like to say that if Inej had been there, she might also have been in the closer realm to Matthias. But she's not. But for Matthias to be the one that, like, speaks up and, like, calms her in this moment was great. But, like, offers all these things, like, you need to put your, you know, take off your shoes and I'll give you a foot massage, and do you like this, and are you hungry, and he goes, do you like to sing, and or do you like music, and do you like to sing?
No, she's like, should I sing? And Wylan goes, no, and he's like, sing your heart out, and then it happens.
Gonna cry again. And the singing, as I quoted, and then the real nightmare began.
Wylan describes her as enthusiastic, and that is a very appropriate adjective for this woman, because she seems to try and do a lot of things, and she seems like a happy person.
Yes.
But yeah, that was woof.
Yeah.
Like, Matthias is talking about how, like, his mother was with his sister, and he's like, just like sit her down, give her something to eat. And he offers up Nina's chocolate biscuits, and she's like, don't you offer my chocolate biscuits? Those are mine. I haven't even eaten any. And he's like, you're not hungry. And she's like, I don't care. I was saving them for later.
Yeah.
You know, it's just so funny.
I also wonder too in this moment, because I'm like, okay, Bajan is supposed to be like her music tutor, right? Like, is he that good of a music tutor? Like, am I supposed to get that she's good at singing and just like overdone with it, or like, you know what I mean?
They do say that it's not that she's necessarily bad, it's that she just never stops.
So I'm like, how good of a tutor is Bajan?
But then also, what has he got to work with? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Not
exactly.
everybody's meant
This is
for
true.
it.
This is true. So they're able to calm her enough to be able to go over the plan for the swap between Alice and Inej.
Oh, also something we should point out
Yes.
is with Alice, they are all in masks and she is blindfolded. So she has not seen them.
No.
And they are all wearing the like Comedie Brute costumes
Yes,
with her. So she is blindfolded at this point.
Yeah. So no identities have been given. But they start going over the plan. Wyland's going to be on the ground floor. Matthias is going to be on the roof of the Emporium Comedie. Jesper is across on the other roof of the Amber's Hotel, and Nina is going to be on in the third floor in that hotel. So like you're kind of getting all the places, and then Kaz is going to be with Alice walking across the bridge to do the exchange with Inej. So just kind of getting all the vantage points of all these people.
And Matthias asks Jesper, like, what happened at the lake house?
Yeah.
Because one of these soldiers, or one of these guards died, and it was because of her, like, what happened. And Jesper won't give her up. He won't say anything. And he's like, basically, just watch out.
Yeah.
She's not herself. She may need more backup.
Yeah.
And we see Matthias kind of, so that's ominous. And we see Matthias kind of go through this inner turmoil. Like, did I just take my focus and my devotion from Jarl Broom and put it on Nina? Like, and is that because I'm not, like, I'm afraid to choose a future for myself? Like, he's going through this inner turmoil. And she, like, Nina tries to, like, pass off whatever happened. Like, just don't worry about it. Then she tries to, like, flirt and be herself, which we love to see, but she's like, she gets frustrated because he keeps pushing her. She's like, just let me do my job. Like, I know what to do. Like, leave me alone. I can figure this out. And I understand that because she has never been a porcelain doll. She has been trained to be a warrior since she was a young child. And she's a soldier, she's a warrior, and she can't, like, deal with feeling like she's breakable. So her and Matthias are set on a job before the bridge, and they are supposed to go to a tailor shop, and pick up some costumes and then pass them out. And they're costumes that, again, this Comedie Brute is like a huge thing, right? And people wear those costumes. We heard that in the first book, in the barrel. And so they're supposed to go out and pass these costumes out to random people. And they're promoting a new gambling hall, the Crimson Cutlass. And so they're passing out these costumes.
It doesn't exist. But nobody knows.
Yeah, at this point, we're like, where is this new place? Does Kaz have a new place? And what costume Matthias is dressed in requires him to, like, participate. It's like a call and response, and he is very bad at this.
No,
he is not good at it. But
no enthusiasm.
They go out and they pass all of these out, and we see how Nina's frustrated, and then she turns it on and is, like, pulling everybody in and being, like, bubbly and passing all of these things out, and that's just how quickly and how good she is at what she does. And then we move on to everyone being in position.
Where everybody's in position. Everybody's signaled to each other. The drop is about to happen on the bridge between Alice and Inej, And then Jesper starts signaling to Matthias and everything because Jesper has spotted the Stodwatch on the bridge.
Well, and Kaz also thinks that there's something off. He's like, this is weird. It's him and Alice. Alice is not blindfolded anymore. And they're walking over the bridge, and Van Eck is approaching, but he's approaching with his own guards in their uniforms with his colors. Yeah. And Kaz is like, that's weird. Yeah. Why would you do that? I thought you would want to be very inconspicuous. Yeah. And the thing about Kaz's gut is it's usually right. Mm-hmm. And he should have gone with that. But we do see Jesper's signal, and
well, see, and I think that's the cool part about how these chapters are broken up, because when we're still in Matthias's perspective, before we see Kaz in the middle of the bridge, like he's watching Kaz walk across the bridge, and we're seeing Jesper from higher up signal to Matthias.
Oh, right.
And everything at the same time that Kaz is going across the bridge, but we're not in his perspective yet, but it's happening at the same time that he's clocking, like, wait a second, why does he have these guards here? Like, so, like, it's all happening simultaneously, but, like, each one of the people doesn't have that connection because they're all in their own locations, which is so great about the way Kaz's plans work out.
And Inej is in the middle of these guards.
Yes.
So we do see that she's there.
Yes.
I think it's funny, Kaz thinks to himself that he's trying to practice patience, and through patience would bring all of his enemies to their knees in time. But Alice cracks me up. Alice does not give a fuck.
No, she doesn't.
She's looking at Van Eck, and she's like talking to Kaz. She's like, "Do you think he's handsome?" And Kaz is like, "What?" And she's like, "Well, it would be great if he was handsome and rich, but the money's what's important." Like, and he thinks to himself, nobody would ever question whether you were from Kirch or not.
No.
Because that's like their big thing is money.
Well, and I love it too because, like, as they're walking up there too, before they start having that conversation, she's still singing.
Yeah.
She's still singing.
And Van Eck has gotten smarter. He has learned from the Kuwei-Wyland switch to verify that it's the person before they make the trade. So he asks her what they're going to name the baby. And she's like, well, if it's a boy, Jan. And if it's a girl, Plumia. And he's like, we didn't agree on Plumia. That's supposed to be your bird's name.
Yes.
And so he obviously knows it's her.
Yeah. And then the other part, they make this switch, right? Kaz has an edge. Alice is over there. And then he says very, 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 very loudly, Van Eck does, like, what have you done with my son? Where's Wyland? Rah, 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 all this stuff. And Kaz is like, what? Like, you damn well know what's up and everything. And it kind of clicks, oh, wait, the Stodwatch, because then he sees them coming. So Van Eck's gotten them all involved because he's spun the story that Kaz has kidnapped them both.
So that's why he has the guards in their, like, liveries. So they know, one, who Van Eck is, two, who his guards are, and who's, like, the good guys and the bad guys, right? He's also talking about Wyland, who he knows Kaz can't produce because Wyland has Kuwei's face.
Yes.
So he feels very smart for this. And so they're trying to blend in with the crowd. Yeah. They have fireworks going off. That's why we were on the top of the roof, right? And people come out and they have these costumes on.
Yeah, all the red costumes.
And then an explosion happens they don't expect.
No.
And they're like, wait a second, that's not one of Wyland's bombs. That was bigger than Wyland's bomb. Yeah. So who's blowing things up?
Yeah, and it's the White Rose that gets blown up too. And so right there at the explosion, we get shifted over to Jesper's perspective on the roof. We see that he was up there not just as the sharpshooter to, like, keep an eye on things or whatever, but he's the one that set off the fireworks when Kaz's cane went up into the air. That was his signal. He was also the backup protection. They've got they've all got their different escape routes. The fireworks go off and Kaz and Inej are going Kaz and Inej are going one way. Jesper's going to go another. Wyland goes one way. Matthias and Nina are going to meet at all these different routes. Like, they can't all mainstream or whatever. but they can't go back to the Black Veil right away. They have to wait until nightfall. And what does Jesper start thinking about on his escape? Now, the secondary explosion hasn't happened yet. But he's thinking, you know what? I got some money in my pocket. Let's go gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And here I'm sitting here going, have you not learned anything yet, son? Like, this is, I know he can't. But I wrote it down. I said, Jesper's gambling addiction is going to get him into even more trouble.
It is.
But then another explosion happens. And the anvil is hit next.
They all have their own Mr. Crimson costumes. And they have marked them with a big black tier to be able to identify each other. So passing all of those out was to create camouflage.
Yes.
So they are all out in the streets. This second bomb goes off, and we see one of these crazy flying shoe come out of the anvil carrying someone. And Nina realizes that they are hunting Shu.
Yeah, because she was able to identify.
Not hunting. The Shu are hunting Grisha.
Yes. Yeah, the Shu are hunting Grisha because Nina's able to identify that it's Danelle Markov, which is an Inferni that she knows. So
that works at the anvil.
So now we're seeing even more hints that the Grisha that are hidden within Ketterdam are even more connected. Like, she's very well aware, like, oh, I know who that is. Like, it's another Grisha working here, and now they're gone. She even makes a point in saying, like, each one of because I think there's a third explosion, and she's like, oh, it's all the pleasure houses getting hit right now.
Well, and the White Rose was hit for her. And we see them come out, and we see a Shu sniff the air and then turn and look directly at
her.
Nina and Jesper are together, and they are both Grisha.
Yes.
And so they have people that can smell them. And so Jesper starts shooting and hits them multiple times in the chest, and they don't fall. They just keep coming. And it seems like they are heavily modified, that they have not metal under their skin that protects their vital organs. And so things are getting crazy. Like, who are they?
Yes.
Are they some type of Grisha, or were they made by Grisha?
Yes.
On Parem? Because, like, obviously you would need Parem to, like, do these modifications.
I did put in here, like, one of the things that I really thought was clever here, because when that Shu woman identified her by smell, Nina, she gets her caught in this net.
Oh,
and they're like trying to like get her or whatever. They're like pulling back on her. And Nina's like, let go. And Jesper's like, no, like, I don't want, she's like, let go. And she uses that, like, let go of momentum. I thought this was so clever. And then ends up getting so close and putting the gun that she had, because remember, she was carrying a gun in this instance again, because she's like back and forth with her powers, and blows the woman's head off through her eye socket.
Yeah, she's like, basically, this isn't going to be a spot where, like, let's see if they reinforced your eyes, and blows her head off.
Yep, blows her head off.
So they escape.
And I did write down here a little note or whatever, because we got this from the first book. We know, especially because of Kue being Shu, that the Shu are known for experimenting on Grisha. So we're seeing some of them now, possibly, like, are these Grisha? Are they not Grisha? Are these from Grisha experiments? Like, we know that they dive into this scientific realm. So it's like, okay, what really is this? And that's where we leave part 2.
Yeah, and this part was all about getting Inej back and dealing with Jesper's dad.
Yeah.
And so they're setting the stage. We see like Van Eck trying to get information out of Inej. He also preps for the ambush, but Kaz is outsmarting them. And he steals Alice to do this exchange. So check, we're getting Inej back.
Yep.
The exchange goes crazy, and we see that Van Eck thinks he's smarter.
Yeah.
And that he can find a way out of this. But now we're tying those flying Shu back in to the wider story.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, okay, now we know what they're doing. They're hunting Grisha.
Yeah.
We could have maybe a little bit seen that coming. Maybe not, because they took the one Grisha that we saw. But now we know they're heavily modified.
Yes.
Like, this isn't just strapping some metal wings on. They have
Mm-hmm.
metal under their skin.
Mm-hmm. Which also leads you to question more about those Shu warships being in the harbor as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Are they connected? Are they from the Shu government?
Mm-hmm.
Are they sanctioned by the Shu government? Or is this some type of rogue sect?
Mm-hmm.
And so we still really don't know who they are and how they got this way.
Yeah.
And, like, we've gotten that mission accomplished. We have Inej back.
We've got the crew back together.
For now, she is with Kaz.
Yes.
But we still haven't gotten, like, the money from Van Eck.
Yeah, we haven't gotten our full revenge on Van Eck. And let's be honest, ever since he said break her legs, Inej has a whole new perspective on what revenge is going to look like for that man, just for her.
Well, and she whispers something to him as she passes him on the bridge. To me, I wrote down what I want to know what she says. Mm-hmm. Because we just see her walking across the bridge as she passes him. She, like, leans in and says something and then keeps moving. And so, like, was that a threat? Yeah. Was that, was she getting his goat? Yeah, because she has plans.
Oh, yeah. She definitely has plans.
And so we're back with our crew. We have
just
covered,
get them all back to the Black Veil safely.
We have gotten everybody back together. We see what the socio-political kind of tension looks like, how it's all converging on Ketterdam, how we are moving forward. First mission accomplished. Now we have to see what's going on, also what's going on with these crazy Shu, and how's the crew going to get their revenge on Van Eck?
Yeah. They got a lot of sticky situations to still get out of before they continue on their revenge plan, for sure.
Because they need that money to keep Jesper's farm.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has their plans. But I feel like that's the most pressing thing, because that's, like, time-bound.
Yeah.
So
that one and Kuei's safety, because we don't want Kuei in the wrong hands.
Yeah.
So, all right. That leads us at the end here.
Yeah, for section 1 for this week. That's all for this week. And we have so much more book to go.
Yes, we do.
Although this is the last book, so I'm, like, not ready to leave them behind. We hope you will tune in next week to go over parts 3 and 4.
Which is chapters 11 through 23.
Thank you, because I did not write that down.
I got you.
And that you will follow along, and we will get our found family to their next goal.
See you next time.